everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today to talk about some of my top fragrances for the warmer summery months where you want something that's a little bit more fresh, a little bit more sort of airy, maybe a bit aquatic, something maybe a bit more green, something that's just really uplifting and nice and that sits well on sort of in hot weather and on hot skin. Now, I know it is currently winter in Australia, but the weather is so beautiful. We're nearly at the end of it. I can see spring just around the corner, so I feel like this is really appropriate. But also I know that most of the world is currently in summer and experiencing some warm weather, so I thought it works really well. But also, if you know me, I get really sensitive to fragrances. So all of those really strong projecting notes, all the woody notes, all the oody notes, all that kind of stuff can give me headaches. So I generally gravitate towards fresh fragrances. It's only recently I'm trying to delve into more gourmands and trying to find my perfect gourmand for a headache sort of sensitive nose person. But fresh fragrances I love. So this is sort of my happy zone. All right, so I'm going to talk about quite a few today. I'm going to talk about the notes of them. I'm going to tell you what I think about them. All of these work really well on my skin, which is great. And I have tried to break them down into different categories. A lot of them are very similar in terms of like citrusy notes, fresh notes, all that kind of stuff, because that is generally what those summery notes are. But I have tried to sort of isolate little categories for you. So if you really don't like citruses, there are other fruity options out there, and so forth. Let's just get the like straight up citruses out of the way. One that I want to mention, which is a current limited edition, so it is out now, but it's from Jo Malone, and this is Orange Marmalade. So this is a collaboration with Paddington Bear. Now, when I did smell this in store, I didn't think I was going to buy it, but I really, really like it. So this is orange. So the notes are pretty much orange peel, bitter orange, cashmere wood, and clary sage. Now, there are times where I'll apply this and I'm like, this is just like squeezing sort of orange juice with orange peel and just dousing it on me, which I really like. It's really fresh. And then there are other times where I'm like, this is actually a little bit more herbal, and that's how I'm feeling right now. So I would say smell this one in store. It's not like a really sort of sweet, juicy smell. It is definitely more like a cologne-y orange smell. I quite like it. It's a slightly masculine for me, but I think it's kind of fun. So if you don't like sweet, juicy fragrances, but you want some citrus, this one's quite nice. If you do want something sweet, and this is me to a T, Akro Bake is one of my newer ones. So this is very well known because it is a really fun fragrance. So it opens up with really sort of vibrant citrusy notes, but it's very sweet. So it's more like lemon juice and sort of like mixed with caramel. So I've got the notes on the screen, but I can definitely smell the lemon zest for sure. I can definitely smell the brown sugar, and I'm getting some of that vanilla as well. So it's a little bit boozy, it's very sweet, it's very lemony, so it is very fresh. I've also got a couple of other fragrances with this sort of like lemon opening that settles down vanilla-y. Dolce & Gabbana Devotion is an example that I have as well. That one is way too candied for me to wear in summer months, but this is still very fresh and very light, but it does have that sweet element. So if you want that citrus, but you want something sweet, this is it. It's really delicious, and it does fade down to this sort of like brown sugary smell throughout the day. It's very nice. Yum. Something a little bit juicier, a little bit more fresh. I love this so much. Jo Malone Mango Thai Lime. Yum. I smelt this in store the other day and I was like, I've got to have it. So I end up ordering it with a voucher and I don't regret it. It is juicy. Like, some people can really smell the lime as a predominant scent. For me, it's quite mango forward. So I really smell the mango, the lime, a little bit of the mint. I can't smell the black pepper, which is good. It just sort of balances it out. And then there's a little bit of like green from the thyme. I think it's so fresh. It's so fun. Again, doesn't last a huge amount of time. Like, you might find that after lunch, if you want to refresh, you can do that. I don't mind doing that because I like trying different fragrances each day, but this is a lot sweeter. It's a lot juicier. It's got that mango. It's got that fun sort of citrus. It's like a cocktail. I love it. It's so beautiful. We're getting into more fruity fragrances now, and these do have overlaps with citrus because a lot of them do have that citrus to sort of lift it, but I would call these sort of more fruity rather than citrus. Floral Street Sunflower Pop is one of my all-time favorites. As soon as I use this up, I'm repurchasing it because I love it. I actually had sample or travel one of this and I used it up and I had to buy it. So the top notes are passion fruit, mandarin, orange and bergamot. So very, very, very fruity. I also get a lot of the Bellini, so it does actually smell a little bit alcoholish. I can also smell a little bit of the plum blossom, which gives it a bit of a sort of floral vibe. But to me, it's just like a passion fruit cocktail, which I love. So this one is one that I douse myself in the warmer weather, and it's just really fresh, really fruity, quite sweet, but I love it. Another fruity fragrance that is very sort of airy. This is quite light, so again, if you want long-lasting, projecting, these probably aren't it. But this is one that I haven't heard many people talk about. I found this one because I was looking for strawberry notes in fragrances, nothing too sort of cloying and sort of nauseating, something that's a bit more fresh. And this one came up as a recommendation. I blind bought it. This is one I haven't tried, like I haven't used too much, but I feel like, again, I've been in winter, it's quite light, but it's a fun one. So this is from the brand Fragonard. This is a Mademoiselle Amour, and it is definitely more of that fruity sort of vibe. So it's got strawberry, apple, tangerine as the top notes. The base note is raspberry, so you can see it's very fruity. And then the middle notes is sweet pea, rose, and jasmine. Now this is very, what I've heard people say is it's like more of a true sort of strawberry scent. So it's not sort of like a gourmand sort of creamy strawberry. It's more like a fresh picked strawberry. Again, very, very light, very airy. But if you don't want like the citrus heavy, you want something a little bit more in the berry zone, this one you might want to try. I got this from Libertine in Australia and it's fairly affordable. So it's quite juvenile, I have to say. Like I could imagine like teenagers really digging this. So it's not the most like sophisticated scent, but it's also not nauseatingly sweet and tacky. It's just very, very fresh and fruity. This must be one that does project pretty well because I have gotten compliments from it. I have recommended it to people. They have bought it based on smelling it on me. And this is an old school one. So this one, I don't think it gets highly rated, but I really love it on me. And it's one of the few florals that I can totally get behind. So this one is DKNY Be Delicious, and it's a fresh blossom version. Again, this is I think my third bottle. I really, really, really love it. It might be my fourth, I'm not too sure. But it's definitely one I keep repurchasing because I just miss having it. And as soon as the weather starts to get a bit warmer, I start pulling this one out. Again, florals on me, especially white florals, they don't do well. They make me quite headachy, but this one is so nicely balanced. It's sweet, it's fruity, but it's also floral that I love it. The notes are on the screen, but you can see the top notes are very sort of fruity and juicy. So there's grapefruit, apricot, and cassis. Then there's more florals in the middle notes, rose, lily of the valley, and jasmine. And then you've got more wood and apple in the base note. So it is quite sweet, but it's just really lovely. I love this. I just think it's so beautiful. And to me, it's like the most beautiful sort of girly, floral, sweet, projecting just cloud of niceness. I really love this. If you wanted something a little bit more floral, but you don't want it juicy and fruity, you want it more sort of vanilla-y, this it has praises for good reason. This is Burberry Goddess. It is like the scent that everyone has been talking about pretty much like all last year and this year, and they're even bringing out an intense version which isn't in Australia yet, but I love this. I wasn't sure if I was going to get along with this because it's got a lot of vanilla in the notes, which is great. I want vanilla, give me vanilla, but it also has lavender, which can trigger headaches for me, so I was a bit worried. I tried this in store a few times and it is totally fine. I find myself reaching for this a lot. It is one of those, I would call it like trans-seasonal scents, like you can actually wear it all year round. But I think because it's got a bit of a floral element and then the vanilla, I think it's a really nice sort of way to wear a vanilla in summer or warmer weather without it being too sort of cloying and heavy and sort of nauseating. This one I wouldn't call a gourmand. So for me, it is, I find the vanilla and the lavender sort of balance each other out really nicely, and it's sort of nicely rounded fragrance. The vanilla gives the lavender a little bit more of a sort of sweetness. It's not so sharp on me, but then the lavender takes away some of the sweetness that can happen when you go into sort of vanilla territory. So I find this to be more of a floral vanilla. even though I am very sensitive to lavender, this doesn't give me headaches and I can just go to town with it. I love it. It just settles down to this really beautiful sort of, yeah, vanilla sort of floral scent. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. If fruity, floral, vanilla-y isn't for you, I'm going to mention, and this just looks white, I'll have a hopefully a close up. This is Juliette Has a Gun, Not a Perfume. This is one that I can wear year round. So this is, they say the main accords are amber, musky, and woody, but this is a molecular scent. So it will adapt to your skin. It will wear differently on different people. On me, this sort of smells like clean linen, and it just makes everything smell fresh and clean. So it's really, really lovely on a hot, sweaty day when you sort of feel like, ugh, gross. Spraying this just makes me feel clean and sort of uplifted. So I wanted to mention this, even though it's not those sort of traditional summery scents, it is one that works so well in the warmer weather, and I wear this year round. It's beautiful. And then transitioning from that, I'm going to mention another Juliette Has a Gun fragrance. This is Ego Stratis. Now this is a citrusy scent, so I didn't talk about it in like the citruses, but I feel like to me this is more sort of marine, aquatic. So it does have like a citrusy opening. There's bergamot, lemon, mandarin, orange. But when it does sort of settle down, to me it smells more aquatic. And I feel like the citrusy notes and the fruity notes tend to just stop it from getting into too masculine cologne vibes. So if you want something that is a little bit more like sea vibes, this is possibly a little bit too masculine for some people. So if you like really sweet scents, this is probably sitting a little bit too cologne-y for you. But for me, I kind of like that unisex smell sometimes, even though all fragrances are unisex, do what you want. But there is sort of like a aquatic cologne scent to it that's balanced nicely with the citruses, in my opinion. So I really like this one, and it lasts really well. Let's get into sort of more green scents. And again, some of these have citrusy notes. It is what it is. If you want a summery green, they might have citrusy notes. One that I want to mention is one that I've recently repurchased. This is my third bottle. I love it so much. It's my third bottle. This is Tokyo Milk Dark Everything and Nothing. Now on Fragrantica, the notes of this I think are a little bit different to what it says on the bottle and what I smell anyway. So it says mandarin orange, gardenia, tuberose, and vetiver. On the packaging here it says sweet orange, pressed petals, desert moss, and tea leaves. That to me is more accurate of what you're getting in here. It sort of has this, I would call the orange opening is a little bit sherbety. So like, it's quite like zingy, and like it's sweet and zingy, and I just kind of want to eat it. And then it's got this beautiful dry down of like this mossy tea leaves. I love this. The pressed petals I can get as well. It's not like a very strong floral. It's more like an earthy floral. I love this. Oh yeah, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. Yeah, this is my third bottle for a reason. Again, it's one of those fragrances that I put on and it just instantly lifts my mood and makes me happy. I love the balance of like the earthy moss and the tea leaves with this sort of sweet, zesty orange. I love this so much. I love it so much. I could potentially call this like a signature fragrance because that's how much I love this. If you wanted something a little bit more mossy and green and less sweet, Moss from Commodity, I really love. This is my favorite fragrance out of their whole range. I tried them all, and this is the one that I ended up purchasing because I really love. This is the expressive, so the middle one. The bold one is a lot more strong green moss, so it's like you're just walking in the woods. And then the personal one, which is the white bottle, the Moss Minus, that one is just a lot more citrusy. This one is a balance of the two. So this one opens up very citrusy. There is definitely bergamot in the opening, but it very quickly goes green. So I find that with this one, I like the idea of mossy notes. It's just that they sit very, very masculine on me, but I feel like the sort of citrusy element of this really balances it out. And I feel like at the start you get quite a lot of citrus, it starts turning green, and then there's a little bit of lingering citrus that stops it from going into sort of overkill masculine mode. It's sort of this beautifully balanced fragrance. And then I also find that because it's got those sort of mossy, woody notes, I find that that has a lot more longevity than what you used to with just a citrus. So this one is a really beautiful example of a well-balanced sort of greeny mossy citrus. So if that's something that you're interested in, I think it's a nice introduction to mossy notes if you're not really comfortable with them. I think this is really beautiful, and it makes me feel like I'm just like a forest fairy when I wear this. I think it's really lovely, and it's just, again, uplifting, fresh, but a little bit more earthy. If you like the idea of something like moss, so it's got that sort of mossy green with the balance of the citrus, but you wanted something a little bit spicier, I would recommend Green with Envy by Melbourne brand Flâner. I would recommend checking them out. If you're in Australia, check them out. This is their lightest fragrance and my personal favorite because they are very spicy. They get into more woody notes, very ambery, that kind of thing, which is a bit much for me. I like them, I smell them, I'm like, that is lovely, but on me it just doesn't jive well. This is my favorite by far, and this is sort of moss taken to a slightly spicier zone. So this does have top notes of bergamot, mandarin orange, and also rosemary. It also has additions of things like seawater, black pepper, there's fir, there's amber, there's musk. So it's a little bit more like pine forest rather than like moss forest, if that makes sense. But this one I really love. This one does project, but this is my pick if I want something that's green but a little bit spicy. This is sort of the spiciest I can sort of go, especially in the warmer months. But if you are a spice lover and you want to sort of pare it back and go a little bit more fresh, a little bit more green without it getting too sort of sweet, this could be one that you want to check out as well. So all of those fragrances I mentioned are all currently available. The only one that is limited edition is our Orange Marmalade by Jo Malone, but it is available now. So all of these you can access if you want them. I made a point of not mentioning sort of like discontinued old limited edition stuff because that's unfair. I keep getting a whiff of this and it's just making me so happy. This fragrance is like, I think it's got to be my signature fragrance. I think it has to be. I think I always have to have it in my collection because it's amazing. All right, so those are my picks for sort of fragrances that don't give me headaches, that I don't find nauseating, that work really well in summer and the warmer weather. So on your hot body, these don't make them smell kind of funky and icky. They all just sort of feel fresh and lift your mood, make you feel clean, and just make you feel happy. I love all of these. They're all amazing. Let me know what your favorite warm weather or summer fragrances are. I'd love to check them out, and have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.